If you love coins, hidden treasures, unbelievable stories, and the idea that something small in your pocket could secretly be worth a fortune, then you're absolutely in the right place. Today we're diving deep into one of the most talked about and controversial coins in American history, a coin most people have seen, spent, or ignored without a second thought. We're talking about the Liberty 1-cent 1972 Lincoln penny from the United States, a humble copper coin with a face value of just 1 cent, yet surrounded by stories, errors, and rare possibilities that have pushed its rumored worth into an astonishing $320,000 million. This is not just a coin story, it's a journey into minting history, human mistakes, rarity, collector obsession, and the fine line between ordinary change and extraordinary value. The 1972 Lincoln cent was produced during a time when the U.S. Mint was operating at massive scale. Millions upon millions of pennies were being struck to meet everyday demand. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 6 decades by that point, and for most Americans it was simply background noise in daily life. You dropped it into jars, paid with it at the store, or forgot about it entirely. Yet within this ocean of identical coins, a handful emerged that were anything but ordinary. Tiny imperfections, mechanical malfunctions, and human oversight during production created coins that defied the standard. These mistakes, often unnoticed at first, became the foundation of immense value decades later. At first glance, the 1972 Lincoln penny looks familiar. Abraham Lincoln's portrait faces right on the obverse, with the word Liberty to the left and the date stamped clearly. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, symbolizing history, unity, and American legacy. But collectors know that it's not the design itself that makes this coin extraordinary. It's what went wrong during its creation. Errors and varieties are where the magic begins, and the 1972 penny is one of the most famous years for dramatic and valuable mistakes. One of the most legendary aspects of the 1972 Lincoln cent is the double die error. This is not a simple scratch or wear issue. A double die occurs during the die creation process, when the hub impresses the design onto the die more than once, but slightly misaligned. The result is a doubling effect that appears directly on the coin. On some 1972 pennies, this doubling is bold, clear, and unmistakable. Letters appear doubled, numbers look shadowed, and the overall effect is so dramatic that even non-collectors can notice it with the naked eye. The 1972 double die obverse penny is considered one of the most famous double die cents ever produced by the U.S. Mint. The word Liberty often shows strong doubling, especially around the letters L and I. The date 1972 can appear thick, doubled, or stretched. Even the motto "In God We Trust" may show separation and doubling. This was not a minor error limited to a few coins. Thousands may have been released into circulation before the Mint caught the mistake. But compared to the total number of pennies struck that year, even thousands become rare. Collectors obsess over these double die varieties because they are genuine mint errors, not damage caused after the coin left the mint. Authentic double die 1972 pennies have sold for staggering prices, especially when preserved in high grades. When condition, clarity of doubling, and originality align, values skyrocket. This is one of the main reasons the 1972 Lincoln cent has earned its reputation as a potential multi-million-dollar rarity when considering all known varieties, discoveries, and extreme theoretical valuations combined. Beyond double dies, the 1972 penny also exists with off-center strikes. These occur when the blank planchet is not properly seated during the strike, causing part of the design to be missing. Some off-center strikes show dramatic misalignment while still retaining the full date. These are particularly valuable because the date confirms authenticity and year. A heavily off-center 1972 penny with a visible date can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more depending on how extreme the error appears. Another fascinating category is the broad strike error. This happens when the collar that normally shapes the coin during striking is missing or malfunctioning. The coin spreads outward, becoming wider and thinner than normal. On a 1972 Lincoln penny, a broad strike can be visually striking, with distorted lettering and an expanded rim. These coins stand out instantly and are highly collectible. Clipped planchets are yet another error that contributes to the legend of the 1972 cent. A clipped planchet occurs when the metal sheet used to punch out blanks overlaps or misaligns, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight missing section. Authentic clips have specific characteristics, such as the Blakesley effect, which helps distinguish real min. Now, we're diving deep into a coin that most people overlook, spend without thinking, or leave forgotten in jars and drawers, yet it has sparked fascination, debate, and excitement among collectors for decades. We're talking about the Liberty 1 cent 1973 Lincoln penny from the United States, a coin with a face value so small it seems almost meaningless, yet with stories, mysteries, and rare possibilities that push its perceived worth into the hundreds of millions when the most extreme errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies are imagined and discussed. This isn't just a story about metal and numbers, it's a story about history, chance, human error, and the dream that something ordinary could turn out to be extraordinary. The year 1973 sits in an interesting place in American history. The country was moving through economic uncertainty, inflation was becoming a serious concern, and everyday Americans were feeling the pressure of rising prices. Coins like the Lincoln cent were still heavily used in daily transactions, passed from hand to hand in grocery stores, gas stations, and corner shops. The penny was not treated as something precious. It was mass-produced, minted by the hundreds of millions, and designed to circulate heavily. And yet, within that massive production, tiny variations, mistakes, and unusual circumstances occurred, some of them so rare and so fascinating that they transformed a common cent into a legendary collector's piece. The 1973 Lincoln penny continued the familiar design that had been in place since 1959, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. By this time, the design was deeply ingrained in American culture. People recognized it instantly. The coin was made primarily of copper, with a composition that collectors now look back on with nostalgia, especially considering how later changes in metal composition altered the feel, weight, and long-term appeal of the cent. In 1973, the U.S. Mint struck pennies in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, though San Francisco coins were mainly proofs and not intended for general circulation. Most people who hear about a penny being worth hundreds of millions immediately assume it must be a joke or an exaggeration. And in everyday terms, of course, a typical 1973 Lincoln cent is worth only a small amount over face value, if anything at all. But collectors don't just look at coins as currency. They see them as artifacts. They examine every detail, every imperfection, every deviation from the standard. And in those deviations, value is born. The idea of a 1973 penny reaching an extraordinary value like $320,000 million comes from the extreme end of collecting imagination, where the rarest possible combinations of errors, conditions, and historical significance collide. One of the most talked about aspects of the 1973 Lincoln penny is the potential for double die errors. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once on the die at slightly different angles or positions, causing noticeable doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. In some years, double die pennies are famous and well documented, becoming holy grails for collectors. For 1973, the search for dramatic doubling has kept collectors examining coins under magnification for decades. A strong, clearly visible double die affecting the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" could transform an otherwise ordinary cent into something highly desirable. The more dramatic and well-preserved the doubling, the higher the potential value. Another category of fascination is off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank is not properly seated in the press, resulting in a design that is shifted to one side, sometimes dramatically. An off-center 1973 Lincoln penny that still shows the full date and mint mark can be incredibly appealing to collectors. The visual impact of such a coin is immediate. It looks wrong, unusual, and intriguing. If the off-center strike is severe yet still identifiable, its value can rise significantly, especially in higher grades where wear is minimal. Broad strike errors are another possibility that collectors associate with high value. A broad strike happens when the coin is struck without the retaining collar, allowing it to spread out more than normal. The result is a wider, flatter coin with a distorted rim. While broad strikes are not as rare as some other errors, finding one from 1973 in excellent condition can still generate excitement. The appeal lies in the clear evidence that something went wrong at the mint, creating a tangible link to the manufacturing process itself. Clipped planchets are yet another error type that brings attention to the 1973 Lincoln cent. These occur when the metal sheet from which blanks are cut is misaligned, resulting in a coin with a missing section. Depending on the shape and size of the clip, these coins can range from mildly interesting